Okay, there we go. All right. Okay. So, all right, yeah. So I needed to come on here and talk about marriage tonight because it got a lot to dig into. Um, but what I do want to do as well before I start getting into like deep into this teaching, I just wanted to pull up this documentary for y'all to show you guys like right now what we're seeing in the world when it comes to like marriage and the broken family and stuff like that. I wanted to just pull up some of this document real quick just to give y'all a brief backstory on how why the women are the way they are and the men are the way they are. It's been going on. This is documentaries from 1986. I just want y'all to hear some of the verbal conversations and stuff said, and then I'm gonna go ahead and do my thing. Hold on. Ability, and then you don't. Hold on.
Raise your hand if you're married. None of you are married. Raise your hand if you would like to be married to your baby's father. One. The rest of you who don't plan to get married, why don't you plan to get married? I'd like to know that.
You already have your child to think about, and then a whole family to care for. You know, it's a lot of responsibility, and then you don't want the commitments.
I don't want no man holding me down because I think I can make it as a single parent.
But don't you think you might need help in raising that baby from a man?
Not really. I didn't have a father. My father wasn't in the home, so you know it really male figures are not substantially important in the family.
I ain't thinking about holding up father no sex, my man. You know, if a girl, you know, she get having a baby, carrying a baby, that's on her. You know, I'm not gonna stop my pleasures because of another woman.
What about birth control? What about condoms?
Girls don't like them things. They don't like them things. You gotta tell you to take them things off. They'll figure that you saying that they filthy or they dirty or something.
It's been a startling change in values. 25 years ago, you would not have heard such things said so freely because they were not embraced so widely. The strong family was still the backbone of Black America, and 3 out of 4 children had both parents at home. That is true no longer. Most Black children are now growing up without their fathers. The result is a world turned upside down as children copy what they see and repeat what they learn. LaDawn said she didn't have a father in her home and doesn't think her children need one. She's not unusual. Half the Black families today are headed only by a woman. Clorinda said she could make it on her own as a single parent. She has never been married and is raising her daughter without a man's help. She's not unusual. Today, nearly 60% of all Black children are born out of wedlock. Timothy said his children are not his responsibility. He has left them to be supported by their mothers and welfare. He's not unusual either. For LaDawn and Clorinda and Timothy, and many more like them in cities all over America.
All right, so I'm gonna just stop it here because I just wanted y'all to just hear some of the dialogue. But that, if you guys ever wanted to watch the rest of that documentary, it's called "Vanishing of the Black Family" on YouTube, right? So, I wanted to get on here tonight and just really elaborate the purpose of marriage, why it's important, and if you're not married, why you should just stay to yourself. And if you desire marriage and God blesses you with a marriage, I feel like it's just very important to be whole within yourself and worry about becoming whole within yourself and building that relationship with him in your single season. Because I remember like idolizing marriage. Like I remember idolizing a relationship period, right? And when you idolize a relationship, you start like putting all your energy into another person and you kind of like neglect yourself in every area when it comes to you like that relationship. Like you just want to make sure they good, trying to do everything you can and make sure they happy. And then you start neglecting your own self. Like you stop doing your own hobbies, you stop doing like things that you love to do, you stop getting dressed. Like you be drained, you be being so drained by trying to be in a relationship with a person and trying to make sure they're happy, when deep down inside, if a person is not healed and whole on their own, like there's nothing you can do outside that person to even, begin to satisfy all the things that they lack within themselves. So that's why you be feeling like you so drained when it come to marrying a person, and you just pouring so much into a person because you're pouring into somebody that has never taken the time to get to know themselves, to correct the things they don't like about themselves. And yeah, so you do all of that, and then you end up heartbroken in the end because it never leads to the marriage that you wanted it to. It never leads to like that strong commitment where that strong foundation that y'all wanted. It don't lead there because, from the beginning, that person wasn't okay with their self first before even getting into a relationship with you. That person had a need. That person was still trying to just pleasure their flesh. It was all about selfish ambition at the end of the day. They wasn't there to build and love you. They just had a need. So um okay, so we got a lot of scripture that pertain to different stuff or whatever, but I'm gonna try to break it down as less as possible because I try to get all the information I need to y'all with the understanding and the different things about the scripture. So you know how like I see right now, like today's world, like people glorify not being getting married anymore. To me, I feel like marriage is a beautiful thing when it's between two people who actually genuinely love each other. Like, of course, I don't think a marriage is beneficial to both parties if there's really no love there and it's all about like, superficial things. If it's not really like God in between a union, I can understand that marriage is not, it's not performing to this fullest potential. And 9 times out of 10, it's either going to be a loveless marriage or it has the chance to end, or somebody could end up, unaliving each other, right? Um, so again, when I started the video, when I first started this, I played a few minutes of the vanishing of the Black family on YouTube. It's a documentary that was, you know, giving you guys a playback of the mindset from back in the day. You got the women that was saying that they don't want to get married and they don't find it important to even have a man in the household. That right there is very damaging because she already programmed to think that a man is not important, when that's everything further from the truth, because the Lord said that he will give us a helpmate. So um why would a man not be important? Because if a man wasn't important, vice versa, a woman wasn't important, then the Lord wouldn't have never stressed the issue that it's not good for a man to be alone. You know what I'm saying? He made that statement for a reason. So that was how he ordained it from the beginning, how people should seek to marry, find a wife. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not good for you to be alone. So now it makes sense too when you think about it, like the behavior of the men that be out here looking for love and vice versa, the woman looking for love, right? And it's normal to, feel like you can't be alone. It's normal to desire that companionship because that's how God made the world in the beginning, for us to not be alone. He said, I will go ahead and give you a helpmate because it's not good for you to be alone. That part of everything is normal. You're supposed to want companionship. That's not the issue. The issue is when you have not taken the time to build a relationship with God, to educate yourself on what love is, what is characteristics of God. The issue becomes when now you're sitting here just connecting yourself to any and everybody just because of reasons that you feel is the reason you should connect to a person. If you're connecting to them you're connecting to a person based off what you think qualifies for a relationship, to court a person, to get in a union with a person. You're dating off of your own understanding of what it is to even get with a person, what it is that you're looking for. The first thing, of course, obviously, we know that is by you, everybody attracted by you. Usually you have attraction towards a person. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we do have some people that's not that attractive, but a lot of time that's the first thing that catches a man's eye. And not just men, women too. Like we look at what a person look like, and that's the first thing that makes you lust for a person. See, but the thing is, that's the way the world formed their relationships based off of looks and how a person benefit one another and the need they need fulfilled. So if you stop doing that, then you can get the type of wife or husband that God has for you that is able to have a solid foundation to last. And not just that, not just last, but actually a healthy, loving relationship. Not just, oh, I've been here for 20 years now, so I'm just gonna go ahead and keep on holding on since I don't put in all this time. You won't have to have that type of relationship. You won't have to have a relationship where you're settling. You can actually have a relationship that was built with a solid foundation from day one. And how do you get that type of relationship, right? That person has to have a relationship with God. And not just saying it by their mouth, but they have to have a relationship, like a true, honest relationship. Get up out of here. A true, honest relationship with God. You don't die. A little moth, where you came from. But you got to have a true relationship with God individually, because once you do that, you know how you are supposed to treat not just others, but yourself and then others. So if you are in a marriage with somebody that doesn't even have a relationship with God, how in the world is they going to treat you right? How they going to treat you right? They don't even know God that is about love. They don't believe in God that's about love. They don't serve a God that's about love. So how in the world are they going to be able to love you correctly if they do not have that relationship and foundation with God? Because once you have that solid foundation and relationship with God, that means his spirit abides in you. So if his spirit abides in you, right? What that mean? He gives you the wisdom, the understanding, the guidance, and everything you need to know when it comes to how to handle your husband or your wife. He never said that the marriage will be perfect, right? But there's some things that's happening in these marriages that is the furthest thing from God. There's supposed to be issues because nothing is perfect. But when the relationship has a foundation of God, when these issues arise, you guys will have God's spirit and you guys will love one another. You will know how to continue to treat one another no matter what problems arise. Nobody will start disrespecting each other, calling each other out of each other's name because we had an argument. How we arguing, how we having a dispute about juice and you start calling me BITCHs and everything else? Is that love? Dang. So just because about some juice, we had a dispute about some juice, you gonna start calling me out my name? And that is that love? No, it's not love. That means if you have a relationship with God, you guys are gonna have a dispute about juice, and you're gonna still be happy going to bed at the end of the night. You're gonna wake up and you're still gonna feel okay. But the problem is that y'all be in relationships with people that have no relationship with God, so they sit there and they harbor up these feelings in their heart, and they be laying next to you, and they be conjuring up all type of plans on how they gonna hurt you because they still ain't forgave you for what you did years ago. They still ain't forgave you for the conversation and the dispute you had last night. So it'd be all this bitterness that be in the root, in the midst of the relationship, because again, neither party has, or sometimes one might have and the other might not have, but neither party has a connection with God. So they're both just plotting, planning, and strategizing how they're gonna continue to hurt each other. That's where these toxic relationship come in at, because neither one of them have God. Neither one of them have a foundation with God to teach them how they should treat their significant other, no matter what's going on. So it's very important that the person that you're dealing with believes in God and have a relationship with God. Because 9 times out of 10, that relationship is going to last. That relationship is equally yoked. That relationship has mutual respect for one another, no matter what's going on. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not even gonna say that, oh, you know what I'm saying, if they divorce, they still going, because I'm not even gonna speak that if they divorce, they don't know how to treat each other. Because if it's a relationship that is solid with God in it, it's gonna last. It's gonna be a successful union. Y'all gonna grow old and y'all gonna love each other to the end. Excuse me. Y'all gonna love each other to the end. So let's not keep robbing ourselves of a marriage that can actually give you what it is you're looking for when it comes to love. Let's not continue to stay in relationships with toxic people who do not have a relationship with God, who does not believe that they have to respect their significant other, who does not even see themselves marrying you. Oh, okay, hold on too. When I wanted to say about the type of women that God tells us the type of women that you should be looking for when it comes to marriage, right? He mentions a prudent wife is a blessing from God. It's a gift from God to find a prudent wife. What is a prudent wife? A prudent wife is someone who has wisdom and knows how to handle decisions the correct way. That means what a prudent wife, matter of fact, hold on, that's what I wanted to pull up for y'all too real quick. Because this is the part I feel like was a perfect example of what a prudent wife is not. Hold on. Because I thought I was supposed to pull that up. Because I know for a fact, like, what she did in this movie was not considered being a prudent wife. Hold on. I know a lot of people have seen Acrimony, or y'all may not have seen Acrimony, but Acrimony is a perfect example of what a prudent wife is not. She mishandled this whole marriage wrong the whole time. Like, I understand, because you do be having people that be in relationships with you and you be holding them down, whatever, and they'll never get right. In this case, this movie has such a plot twist. Matter of fact, don't worry about it. I'm not gonna pull it up because it's just giving me too much problems. But Acrimony is a perfect example of what a prudent wife is not. Because when that man was getting ready to take that presentation to Prescott or Preston, whoever, and she thought that man was cheating, she had every right to be mad and irate, right? But would she be considered a prudent wife? How she handled it and was out there tussling on the ground when that man was getting ready to go try to get this life-changing offer, because she was so worried about her man cheating on somebody that she thought he was been cheating with for years or whatever. Did she handle that right as a prudent wife? Not at all. She had that man out there tussling. He was out there looking crazy in the movie Acrimony. She was not being a prudent wife at all. Like, regardless of how she felt, she should have let him go to his presentation that day and then dealt with it when he came home. That would have been more so wisdom, right? This man you've been holding down for umpteen years finally gets an opportunity to present his life-changing creation, his invention. And what does she do? She mishandled that situation so wrong. That was a perfect example of what a prudent wife is not. Because even no matter what was going on, she could have let that rage out or whatever. And I'm not saying that she was even wrong for doing it the way she did it, because she wasn't. But she could have waited till that man went to this thing and then came back and dealt with it. But no, she freaking went crazy on him outside, had him tumbling all on the ground. His suit was all wrinkled. You know what I'm saying? There's a time and place for everything. That exactly is what a prudent wife is not. And then again, when it says about having wisdom and having judgment, and acrimony also, she lacked judgment and wisdom too, because if you would have had good judgment and discernment to see, you would have never divorced your husband. See, I do know, again, you could hold a man down, right? And he don't ever give you nothing in return when it comes to finances. But the differences I see in acrimony and then what I see in relationships today, when you get with a man that's not offering you nothing, at least in acrimony, he was always striving. That's a difference. At acrimony, he was striving. He was always striving to get that opportunity that can give her the life that he wanted to give her. See, now for me, I ain't gonna lie. Like I can't lie, because I'll be real. Like I would definitely be upset too. You know what I'm saying? If it took all that time or whatever, and I wasn't seeing no results. But again, there would have been a part of me that still would have had to respect the fact that he was trying. You know, in acrimony, he was trying to do something. When it came to other people, you know, being relationships, the man don't even be trying. He just kick his feet up. He just be using y'all. He just be, you know, playing the game, stuff like that. But in the acrimony, she lost her blessing. She lost her husband because she did not be a prudent wife. She did not have judgment to be able to see correctly. Because if she would have had God, guess what? God would have gave her the wisdom to know better not to have left that man. And when she left that man, she regretted her whole decision. Because what? She didn't have that discernment to see. If you got that discernment to see, baby, you ain't gonna make them type of decisions and them type of mistakes when it come to your marriage. But that was just a perfect example. You know, I had watched that last night, and I'm like, oh, I know I seen that movie, but I didn't know why. You know, God had me watch that movie again. But when I look at the message today and everything that he's talking about, this was a perfect example. That was a perfect example of, you know, not being a prudent wife, not having good judgment, not having a relationship with God, so you can make the right decisions when it comes to your marriage. You know, she allowed her sisters to get in her ear. She should have waited that out. You know what I'm saying? Then she went crazy and wanted to kill everybody because she done messed up. But yeah, that was just a perfect example. You know what I'm saying? That's the type of wife y'all should be looking for. Oh, yes. So Proverbs 21:9 speaks about a quarrelsome woman. He said it is better for a man to stay on the housetop than to be with a quarrelsome woman. That means she always quick to argue. She's always quick to fuss and fight. She don't know how to approach the situation and get over the issues in a relationship without doing it in a disrespectful manner. She don't know how to do that. He said it's better to live on a corner of the roof than to share a house with a quarrelsome wife. So, I mean, again, that goes back to acrimony. The way she handled, the way that she was handling that man when she was upset was not the right way. And I'm guilty. I'm guilty too. You know why? Because before God, like before I allowed God to mold me to the woman that he made me to be right now, I was a quarrelsome woman. Oh yeah. What? You're not finna play with me. You're not finna mistreat me and do all type of games and stuff with me and play with me with my feelings. I was quarrelsome, very much so, very argumentative, very standing on business about, you know, what I want and how I want it. And if you don't give it to me that way, I'm gonna cut up. I was very much so that woman. But I thank God, because today, if a relationship don't work out, I know how to turn it loose. I know how to turn it loose. I know how to separate myself from that situation if it do not work out, instead of just arguing so much with a person. Like, I know how to do that today because of God. God gave me the wisdom on how to handle that. I can't, the first thing I can't do is just start yelling because of how I feel. I can't just start breaking glass because of what I'm going through with my husband. That's being a quarrelsome woman, just so quick to be argumentative, and the tone that you're using. Now, mind you, I used to always see that too in the comments. And men just say, well, like, oh, black women this, black women that. Y'all get the yelling, da 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 da. Mind you, and I would say, well, y'all be triggering us, right? But then again, being in my single season and God molded me to be how He want me to be, and to be that wife that I need to be, I get it now. Regardless of what your husband was doing, you still have to handle that in a certain type of way. You cannot sit there and be yelling and embarrassing him and chasing him down the street. All that crazy stuff we do because we're trying to get our husbands to our man or our husbands to understand. Is that being a prudent wife? It's not. So you have to have wisdom, because you're gonna be a quarrelsome wife if you ain't let God come in and mold you on how to be the wife that He requires us to be when it comes to being with our husbands. Now, let me see. Proverbs 18:22. He who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. He who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord. So if you find a quarrelsome wife, is that a good thing? When the Lord said it's better to live on a rooftop than to live with a quarrelsome wife? Or if you find a prudent wife, which one is better? A prudent wife is better, because a prudent wife, again, is going to know how to handle all situations with wisdom. With wisdom. She's going to know how to handle whatever situation comes in the marriage with wisdom. She's not going to be a quarrelsome wife. She's not going to be embarrassing you in public. She's not going to be running down on you. She's not going to do that. She's going to know how to carry herself no matter what's going on between the marriage. Now, does that give you grounds to disrespect her just because she might not be meeting you in a tone level? Or no, it don't. Because either way, you have to also respect your wife. You have to treat your wife with love, because you cannot sit there and abuse your wife and think because she's a prudent wife that you could continue to abuse her either. So don't nobody get away with nothing. The husband don't get away with mistreating his wife, and the wife don't get away with mistreating her husband, and she don't get away with handling the disagreements in a quarrelsome way. All right, so First Peter 3:7 tells us how we're supposed to submit ourselves to our wives. Submit ourselves to our husband. It says, wives, in the same way, submit yourselves to your own husband, so that if any of them do not believe the word, they may be won over without words by the behavior of their wives. When they see the purity and reverence of your lives, Your beauty should not come from outward adornment, such as elaborate hairstyles and wearing of gold jewelry or fine clothes. Rather, it should be that of your inner self, the unfading beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, which is a great worth in God's sight. For this is the way the holy women of the past, who put their hope in God, used to adorn themselves. They submitted themselves to their own husbands, like Sarah, who obeyed Abraham and called him her Lord. You are her daughters if you do what is right and do not give way to fear. So, again, this is going back to getting to know a person's character by their heart, because everybody is only pursuing relationships only because of what they see on the outer. There's nothing wrong with being attracted to a person because of how they look. But the problem is when you are overlooking all the things wrong with the person, how they're mistreating you, how they don't respect the relationship for real. When you overlook all those things only because you just attracted to the outer shell of a person. But their heart do not match that outer beauty. That's why he said your beauty shouldn't just come from all these things. Your beauty should come from the inward. And you know, the thing is, hold on, let me see. Oh, okay, yes. So the thing is too, why it's also important on how a woman treats her husband is because if he is an unbeliever, you could win him over by your actions. That means you're winning him over to salvation. So you don't want to be a hindrance or a stumbling block to his potential salvation because he's only so used to seeing and dealing with certain type of caliber of women, and he get the same result no matter what. You know, he'll just still always have his ways to how he think about women, and just like it doesn't help build the relationship with God that it can, because he sees how you are. You will inspire your husband to want to have a relationship with God as well, because of the beauty that you display in your life on how you treat him. Ephesians 5:33. Now, also like reading the word, like God stresses why you should have your own wife. Because if you have many women, he said that it'll lead your heart away from him. So he said have one wife. Okay. Now this is what God said that love should be between husband and wife. It said, wives, submit to your own husbands as to the Lord. For the husband is the head of the wife, even as Christ is the head of the church. His body and himself is Savior. Now, as the church submits to Christ, so also wives should submit in everything to their husbands. Husband, loves be your wives, as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her, that he might sanctify her, having cleansed her by the washing of water with the word, so that he might present the church to himself in splendor, without spot or wrinkle or any such thing, that she might be holy and without blemish. In the same way, husbands love their wives as their own bodies. He who loves his wife loves himself. For no one ever hated his own flesh, but nourishes it and cherishes it, just as Christ does the church, because we are the member of his body. Therefore, a man shall leave his father and mother and hold fast to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. This mystery is profound, and I am saying that it refers to Christ and the church. However, let each one of you love his wife as himself, and let the wife see that she respects her husband. So, because when you become married with someone, you become one flesh, right? He said, you're no longer two, but you become one. So, how you treat your wife should equate to how you treat yourself. It's like I've seen men get in relationships and do the bare minimum for women, and do nice things for himself, but will totally neglect her as if they're not in a relationship. Is that loving your wife like you loving yourself? If you only do a nice things to yourself, but you're never even considering your wife or you're mistreating her, are you loving your wife like you love yourself? No, right? Proverbs 31:10. So, a wife of noble character who could find, she is worth far more than rubies. Her husband has full confidence in her and lacks nothing of value. She brings him good, not harm, all of the days of her life. She selects wool and flax and works with with eager hands. She is like the merchant ship bringing her food from afar. She gets up while it is still night. She provides food for her family and portions for her female servants. She considers the fields and buy it. Out of her earnings, she plants a vineyard. She sets about her work vigorously. Her arms are strong for her task. She sees that her trading is profitable and her lamp does not go out at night. So, Proverbs 31:10 says the explanation of what an excellent wife is. Says that Proverbs 31:10 explains what an excellent wife is. An excellent wife is a virtuous woman. A wife is not going to put you in harm's way. A wife is never going to put you in harm's way. A wife is never going to put you in a situation where anybody's life is at danger. You wouldn't even a wife that has sense. Why would she risk either one of y'all losing your lives? Your lives or your freedom. You know, a lot of times you hear all these fights and stuff that be happening over a woman or a man. Like, you should know better. You should know better. You should know if a person is good for you or not, because why would you be putting me in any type of harm's way when I got kids to make it to? And I still got things I need to do. Why would a wife that loves you do anything to potentially put any one of y'all in danger? No. A virtuous wife is going to tell you to just leave it alone, babe. Let God handle it. Leave it alone. We're not about to allow this to ruin our day. Let's go ahead and continue with our day. And let's go ahead and have the day that we planned on having before the situation. Leave it alone, babe. I don't want nothing to happen to you, and I don't want you to go to prison, and I don't want nobody to lose their life. Leave it alone, babe. Let God handle it. Your wife should be encouraging you to remain in safety and be in wisdom. It's not about being prideful. It's not about being prideful, and it's not about being prideful where you feel like you got to prove a point. If it's not where somebody have to die or be harmed, just let people talk. Let people talk. Let people do whatever they're going to do. Long as they ain't threatening your life, it's not a life and death situation. You ain't got to prove that you tough. And the wife knows that, because the wife knows that she's risking a lot if she's putting her husband or her family in any type of harm's way. Some things literally could be walked away from. As long as ain't nobody breaking into your premises and or ain't nobody physically assaulting y'all, let them talk. Let them talk. We got a life to continue to live. We got kids to continue to raise. All that trying to be tough to prove that You know what I'm saying? You not like that, and all that. That ain't worth it. A lot of stuff do not be worth it. You know, in the beginning, when God also made in the beginning of Genesis, he said it's not good for a man to be alone, so I will make him a helpmate. Your woman is supposed to be a helpmate. You know, I've heard all this stuff about how a woman feel like, even to this big day, like this day, people still talking about the man supposed to be a provider and you supposed to be a stay-at-home wife. Who came up with that? Who came up with that? Because the word of God said, I will give you a helpmate. The word of God just also said how the wife will go out and do her dues and bring what she need to bring back to feed her family. So who even told y'all that a man was supposed to provide for the wife while she just sits at home? Yeah, she could tend to the house, the kids, this and the third. But that was not what God told us in the beginning of the reason that he was giving Adam a wife in the first place. So then let's get up out that bondage, man. Let's get out of that bondage, men. Let's get out of that bondage, men. Because the Lord said he will give you a helpmate. He never said that you had to take care of your wife and provide her every need and she do nothing. So y'all over there being tricked and getting used because the Lord said he will give you a helpmate. He did not say you have to take care of the woman. Oh, some people gonna be mad at me about this one. Because a lot of y'all are getting used. I do see where people will say like, oh, well, I do this and the third for the woman, this and the third. Well, guess what? Because you allow society to lie to you. You allowed society to lie to you and tell you that you were supposed to take care of the woman. She's supposed to be a stay-at-home wife. When the Lord clearly said he would give her a helpmate so she can help till the land. So now you wondering why you so stressed out in a relationship and you feel unappreciated. You feel so unappreciated. You feel worn down. And you unhappy because you're funding someone's lifestyle. Because society told you that you're supposed to provide for the household. But the word clearly told us that the woman's supposed to be a helpmate. So who are we listening to? Are we listening to society? Are we listening to God and his word and his truth and the way he ordained things? A lot of people's lives would be much better if they tapped in and tuned into the truth. They would stop getting used. Because right now you're being a fool. You are being a fool. You are doing something that was never told for you to do. Providing and contributing for your household, yes, you're supposed to do that. But taking care of a woman and she not do nothing, no, you're not supposed to be doing that. So you wonder why you working so much hard. You working so hard to try to fund all this life of this woman on your own, and wondering why you're stressed out. Because she wants more and more and more and more. Because she's literally dependent on you for her needs, her wants and needs. So the list becomes so much long. And then, don't bring kids into the situation. Now you got to provide for her and the kids. And a lot of the stuff that she be wanting, she don't really need. She just be wanting. And then she throw a fit when you can't do it. You can't do it because you literally taking care of everything. And then she throws a fit when you say, not right now, babe, or I can't do it right now. I'll do it later. So she sits there and give you attitude because you can't do something for her financially. Whose fault is that? Hers. Because the Lord said, I'll give you a helpmate. That means she is responsible still financially for contributing. So men, if you are with a woman, and I get it, you say, "Oh, I'm fine with that. I'm the breadwinner in the household. I don't need my woman to work." If you want to stay in that type of relationship, that's fine. That's a freedom of choice. But two bags is better than one. Two bags is better than one. You never know what happens. God forbid. Say if you needed something, say if something had happened, and something happens to you, and your wife ain't building nothing. She don't got nothing going on. She literally depending on you. A lot of times, 9 times out of 10, she gonna either leave you, or y'all just both gonna struggle together and fall together. But he said, "Woe to the one that is by himself, and don't have no one to pick them up if they fall." So, yes, let's get up out of that bondage. If you are taking care of a woman and she seems to just want more and more and more and more, you might want to go ahead and reconsider that whole situation, because she should be contributing. That's what the word of God said. I never thought, like even being on my own, I never thought that concept made sense. I'm like, I say, yeah, I don't see how I'm supposed to just depend on a man to feed me and provide my lifestyle. I just don't see how I'm supposed to just depend on him to do everything. Especially if I'm trying to make sure his mental health and everything is good in the union. I just couldn't see that. Never made sense to me not to have my own money and not have my own stuff going on, because I'm not trying to put all the load on him. I know some of the things that I want is not important. So I want to be able to buy the things that I want and not just only need because I'm depending on one income in the household. That just never made sense to me. You know what I'm saying? It just never made sense. But then you got the people that don't lie. Oh yeah, you supposed to find your man that's supposed to provide and take care of you. You be a stay-at-home wife. That's bondage. That's bondage. You're not supposed to be taking care of a woman as if she's your child, and she does nothing. That's not how God ordained it to be. So let's get out of that bondage. If you with somebody that is literally not contributing to the household, and she be throwing an attitude at that when you can't do something, you need to think about that relationship. You need to even wonder why you're still there and stop getting used, because that's what's happening. You're being used. Let me see. Okay, so another thing too that God have revealed to me about like the marriage, right? The marriage is for two purposes. Well, a few purposes. One, the marriage is supposed to reflect the love between the male and a man and a woman, right? The unconditional love that you guys have for one another is supposed to set an example of Christ's love for the church. And the church is the body of believers. So for one, a marriage is supposed to display the love between two people to mimic Christ's love. So that's why it's important. That's why it's important, he said, for us to love one another, because we are not just getting a relationship just only for companionship. Yes, that's part of it. But the main purpose of marriage is to display Christ's love through two individuals, showing his love. And then also the foundation of the marriage will be solid, because if Christ loves unconditionally, right? When you got a superficial relationship, isn't the love only based off of that condition? So once a person is not meeting your conditions no more, don't they leave you? When you're in a conditional relationship, don't people leave you? When you're not fulfilling those conditions no more, the love is ran out, but the love was never there. But when you have Christ's love between two individuals, just think about it. It's bound to last, because there's nothing to make the love run out. Christ does not stop loving us. So if you both have Christ, would you guys ever stop loving each other? No. No. No matter what's going on, through health, sickness, death, you guys will love one another. Because the love is unconditional. The love does nothing but grow fonder and fonder. But you stay in a toxic marriage and a relationship, then soon as you don't fulfill them worldly obligations no more, you'll see how much that person never loved you. A lot of people don't even love each other for real, and they're just in relationships because it's of the conditions, because of the superficial reasons that they're there in the first place. So they had a need. They had a need. And as soon as that need wasn't met no more, you found out exactly how that person felt about you the whole time. That person never liked you from the get-go. You just had a need for them. But when Christ is involved, that love is unconditional. There's nothing that person can do or can't do to make you stop loving them. That's the difference between a God ordained marriage versus someone that's marrying you for what you can do. If you want a marriage that's going to last, build a relationship with God first, and then make sure you observe the person's relationship with God as well. And even if a person don't have a relationship with God as well, you could still be married to an unbeliever. If he or she chooses to be with you and live with you in harmony, the Lord said, it's okay if you marry that unbeliever, if they choose to dwell with you. But if they choose to leave, let them leave. Let them leave. Let me see. Oh yeah, another thing is too about marriage, because God said he doesn't want us to practice sexual immorality. And he real rather for us to just, like, if we could remain single and be alone, he would rather that. But since he knows the temptation of the world and stuff like that, that's why he said for us to take our own wives and our own husbands, because so we don't be in sin. Then that's why he wants you to go ahead and marry as well, because he knows that the flesh is weak and that it has desires. It was built to have sex. Oh, another thing too about marriage. Marriage was for procreation in the world. He said, be fruitful and multiply. So you're supposed to be fruitful and multiply. And also, when you have kids with an unbeliever, it make the kid unclean. But if you guys both have had that relationship with God and he was able to clean you up, now you're bearing divine children. You're building, you're bearing divine children, because both of your spirits are aligned. That was the other part of the reason for marriage. Let me see. What else? My throat burning right now. I don't got no water up here. I'm tripping. Yeah, man, just this whole, just looking at the world, how everybody has glorified not getting married. You know what I'm saying? Just glorified not loving each other because of whatever they've been through, whatever toxic past they don't had, just whatever perspective they don't had, just not loving. And people have glorified that so much. I can't get with it. Like, I still believe in marriage. I believe marriage is such a beautiful thing, especially when people really honestly love each other. Like, there's no, that's like the closest love you're going to get to mimic Christ's love. You know what I'm saying? Because there's like almost nobody that can love you more than Christ at all. But a marriage, a love between a marriage that is built off a solid foundation is beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. People have seen the examples of these marriages that weren't solid. So it made people say, oh, I'm not getting married. If a person's going to be doing that, I'm not getting married. Yeah, you shouldn't be getting married to the people that's doing that. But you should be getting married to a person that has a solid foundation with God, that's a virtuous woman, and a man that served God himself. You should be getting married. You definitely should. You should not be marrying somebody, you know, that doesn't have a relationship with God and that's gonna dog you out. That's why it's so important to get to know a person and stop just being so quick to get in a relationship with any and everybody. You need to be around a person. Be around a person so you can know the person that you're around. People be so quick to with somebody just because of a physical attraction, but then later on down the line, you getting all type of abused. You would have knew you would have knew if they was abusive, and you would have took the time to date them before you called yourself even getting in a relationship with somebody. But everybody just operating out of lust, so nobody is really really getting to take the time to get to know nobody. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's important. Once you find you a wife, a lot of people will find the people know who the wives are. A lot of people want to marry the wife. A lot of people want you to be their wife in their current condition, but they know that they're not ready to be a husband for real. I just remember, being rejected by, lovers or whatever. And it made me question my worth. It made me start thinking like, damn, am I not good enough? What if I'm not pretty enough? What if I'm not this enough? You know what I'm saying? But I realized as I tuned in with me, became comfortable with me, and got to know me, that I wasn't rejected because I wasn't good enough. I was rejected because it wasn't time. And that person was not going to be able to give me that love that I was able to give to them. A lot of times the people that rejected me, they lives wasn't in order. You know what I'm saying? They talked a good one, but their life was furthest from the thing in order. So they wasn't mature enough to tell you, like, I ain't even gonna lie. Like, I ain't gonna lie to you. I can't get in a relationship with you because I don't have my stuff together. I'm still dealing with women out here that's accepting me not having my stuff together. I'm not gonna lie. I can't give you an offer because of that. Instead, they'll ghost you and not like give you that honest communication and leave you feeling all type of like you're not worth love, like you're not worth that commitment. When it has nothing to do with you, it's everything to do with them. Again, I had to go through that and that heartbreak feeling like, dang, how you gonna deny me and then go get in a relationship with somebody else? When the whole time they went and got in a relationship with somebody else because that person was still on that same page. They were a match. They were a vibrational match. If God know that you seeking that real strong union and commitment, like he knows your heart is genuine, then he's not gonna allow you to be in a relationship with somebody that's not gonna give you what you're looking for. That's not gonna help you fulfill his purpose. As people of God, as children of God, you know what I'm saying? Everything when it comes to our lives, everything when it comes to our lives is to display his purpose and his will in our lives, whether through relationships or accomplishments or whatever. Everything it has to be for his purpose and his will. Yes, marriage is a beautiful thing and it is for companionship, but it's more so for, again, the purpose is for the will of God. Everybody you guys getting these marriages and you lose yourself and y'all be in these toxic relationships because you left God out of it. Like y'all just left God right out of it. Y'all didn't care about not having a relationship with him yourself first and then making sure the other person has a relationship with him. And you wonder why you all sorts of damage. You done been narcissistically abused. You wonder why. Because you wanted to do things your way and not the way God told us to do things. So Anybody could sit there and they could argue and say whatever, like, oh, it's not important for God to be in the midst of a relationship. I'm gonna disagree with that, because yes, I can get in a relationship, I can marry anybody, but as far as somebody that knows how to treat me, that's not everywhere. That's not everywhere. So yeah, I can get a relationship with anybody, I can marry anybody, but that does not mean that they're going to be able to give me the love that I really want. And the love that I have to give, they're not going to be able to match that. So that has allowed me to be content with being single. You know, of course it'd be lonely. Yeah, it'd be lonely, but I'd rather be lonely than to be having somebody next to me playing in my face, wasting my time, giving them my body as if they my person, cooking for them, just doing all type of stuff for a person that is not going to be here in the long run. You know what I'm saying? So I'm content. I'm content being by myself finally from a long time, because I never had that. I never knew nothing about being content being by myself. Like, I thought I always had to be in a relationship with somebody. But it took for me to grow older, grow wiser, and keep getting done dirty multiple times over and over and over again for me to understand, okay, I understand. I understand that I have to make sure the person that I'm trying to get into a union with is locked into and have morals and have a connection with God as well. Because if not, I'm gonna keep getting done dirty. This is the longest time of my life I've ever been single, for real. And I feel like I am grateful for this single season, because it allows me to just grow a tighter relationship with God and just allow him to just continue to mold me and build me to be who he want me to be. And that means when I do get into a union, that I don't just totally neglect him and forget about him. I will continue to cling on to Christ, and I will continue to have my relationship with God when I'm in my union. I won't completely just neglect God or myself. You know what I'm saying? Because I've built this strong, solid foundation. I mean, this strong, solid foundation with Christ on my own in my single season. You know what I'm saying? People will take it as a bad thing, but if the Lord said it's not good for men to be alone, then that means, of course, we're meant to desire a union. We're meant to desire companionship, because he's the one that knew it wasn't good for us to be alone in the beginning. So obviously, before you can get that love that he promises you, that union that he wants to bless you with, he requires something from you. He wants you to have that love within yourself, for him, because he knows if you know you don't have that side of relationship with him and you don't love yourself, that you're going to get married to people or get in a relationship with people and abuse them, and that's not how he wants you to be. So I'm just thankful, you know what I'm saying? I feel like I don't know why I feel like I left out information, but it's been a whole hour already. Like, the time just went by so fast just now. But I'm gonna go ahead and get up off of here. My throat burning a little bit. I guess the devil don't want me to talk about this today, but guess what? I still did it. Still got it done. You know what I'm saying? But y'all be blessed. You know what I'm saying? I just want to leave these words of encouragement with y'all to just, if you are in a toxic relationship, you need to learn the characteristic of what love is. First Corinthians teaches what love is. So if you ever confused on if a person loves you or not, if you do not see that the person is treating you how love is associated with the meaning of First Corinthians, then you know that the person don't love you. You have to stop being confused and stop calling everything love just because somebody is sleeping with you or showing you some type of sort of attraction or whatever. If a person is disrespecting you, if a person is not valuing you, a person doesn't treat you how First Corinthians say, then it's not love. The quicker y'all can get out these types of relationships and heal and learn the characteristics of Christ, is the quicker you can manifest true love into your lives. Other than that, y'all gonna be some unhappy creatures for the rest of your life, just being in a relationship because you don't want to be by yourself. when that's temporary. If you could just do the things God tell you to do, that's temporary. You know what I'm saying? Don't be scared to be alone. Sometimes being alone is the best thing that could ever happen to you, because people be having all sorts of demons that they ain't deal with on their own, and then they come get in a relationship with you, and now you got demons. Well, you already had demons, now you got their demons too. Like, don't make being single a bad thing. Being single and having an understanding could be the best thing that ever happened to you, so you can grow strong individually, grow strong in Christ. You know what I'm saying? So you can be the best husband and wife that you can be. That's all there is to it, you know? But I'm gonna go ahead and get up off of here. I hope my message reached, some people and make you guys rethink everything, man. Don't let the devil lie to y'all and trick y'all out of what could be such a beautiful thing. Stop having all these kids in these broken homes, making these babies with women that you don't even see yourself being with or marrying. Stop doing that, because the kids don't deserve that. The kids should see two parents that love one another. The kids should be brought up in a certain type of way, because you're supposed to train up a child in the way to go. If you constantly having kids with people that you don't love, then you're teaching your kids to do the same exact things. Go ahead, keep having kids with people that don't love you. All right, so y'all be blessed. Y'all have a good night, and I don't know when next time I'm gonna see y'all, but y'all have a good one. All right, bye.